funny thing about Project stories that I've never really sat and told my entire story in one space. I've had 9 abusers over my life between the ages of 4 and 21 years of age. But there was one in particular that I didn't even think was sexual abuse until my wife pointed out that was abuse too. At the age of 13, I was just this thing, and I wasn't even, I didn't think an attractive kid. I was a little milk dud, right? I was, a little chunky kid. I wasn't popular. I got picked on a lot. I got bullied a lot. But there was this one, and it's hard for me to even say that this was a abuser because I didn't think it was, and I didn't see it as was. I didn't see it as that. But I had one female abuser, and she was an educator. She was a preacher. And even though I didn't think it was sexual abuse, it was definitely statutory rape, if not anything else. I was 13, she was 23. And we were in a relationship for almost 6 to 7 years. From 6 to 7 years, traveled together, we had sex illicitly. But this was different because it wasn't forceful. It was almost like she was a guardian. She was like a motherly figure. But she was my girlfriend at the same time. 13, she's 23 years of age. And I didn't realize that our relationship was built upon sex. She was amazing, and she was gifted and smart and kind heart, but our relationship was based upon sex. Because at the age of 13, we were having sex from age 13 to 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 years of age. And I realized there was a problem because when I was about 17, 18, I moved from Georgia because I wanted a fresh start. I had all these issues. I had been touched and had sexual relations with teachers, with preachers, with politicians, with this environment was just ugh. It was horrible. At the age of 17, 18, I moved to Chicago to attend school at North Park University, where she attended school. And with her help, I was able to get into school. Without her help, I wouldn't have been able to get out of that situation. And so I always accredited my success or whoever I become getting out of the situation to her. But I remember when I left at 17, 18 years old, she looked at me and she gave me an ultimatum. She said, you can't leave or don't leave without marrying her. I was 17, 18 at the time. I think I just turned 18. And she said, I needed to marry her before I left to go to college. And at that time, I was like, no, I don't feel it. I loved her, but I was like, yeah, no, I prayed about it. I didn't get the green light about it. And I moved to Chicago. She was kind of upset. She was upset about it, not kind of. She was upset. And she would call me and try to manipulate me spiritually and try to say, I was in sin, I was doing all types of stuff, and God wasn't pleased with me. And I realized like that wasn't my life at all. But I realized the key thing was we were no longer having sex. I was in Chicago, she was in Georgia, to the point where she came and moved up to Chicago, moved right next door to me so that we could be together, I guess. We had sex one more time. And when I realized that this wasn't for me because she could no longer play mind games with me, I was older now. The thing about men being sexually abused by women or being prematurely introduced to sex by women is that our culture and our society does not see it as rape or molestation. They really don't even see it as a problem. It actually is seen as a doorway or initiation into manhood and masculinity. And so little boys are preyed upon by babysitters, by teachers, by coaches, by people that are trusted, because every parent trains their child to look out for that weird guy that's in the candy store, that's outside with candy bags giving out free candy. But nobody teaches their kids to watch out for family members or close friends or the preacher or the teacher or the babysitter. Because statistics say that most boys who are introduced to sex prematurely are introduced to sex by someone who is either a family member or a close friend or a trusted individual that's a part of the family unit. With men who are sexually exploited by women, you don't know that it's in that point. You don't know at that point that that's what it is, because it takes a different form. It's softer. It's more subtle. You can talk about it openly amongst guys for the most part because you're celebrated. You're celebrated because you're pulling this older person, this older woman, and they don't see anything wrong with it. But I realize there is something wrong with it, because there are men around the world who've experienced sexual abuse and trauma at the hands of women, and they never will say it publicly because they don't know how to. And saying that somehow feels like it takes away their masculinity, their man card. This is why boys at a young age, most men, and especially in urban communities, who are in relationships with women sometimes can't be faithful because they were trained to be sexual. And the trauma enlarges it within them, and the trauma it holds onto them, and they don't know how to be intimate. They know how to have sex. They don't know how to be intimate with people because intimacy sometimes hurts. And so I want to say to the brothers that have been introduced to sex prematurely at the hands of a male or a female, I see you. You're not alone. You don't have to suffer in silence.